Normally, when I review games, I like to take some snippets from the magazines of the time to show what opinions of the game were like back when it was first released, and that's especially useful when you're talking about games as old as Mind Out. But here's the thing, right? I've read all the reviews, and none of them say that Mind Out is one of the best Spectrum games ever made. I know, I was shocked as well, but none of them mention it. And then I remembered, when I first played Mind Out, it was given away free on a cover tape of Your Sinclair issue 72, and truth be told, I largely ignored Mind Out. It looked ancient when compared to the likes of Tai Chi Tortoise Switch. I'm going to have to review that game at some point. Anyway, forget that. This isn't about Teenage Mutant Hero Turtle ripoffs. This is about Minesweeper the prequel. I remember playing it, but I don't really remember understanding what it was I was supposed to do, or if I did, I found it too mathsy to be fun. I wasn't a nerd, but I am now. And by golly, I have really enjoyed playing Mind Out. Looking back at the history of Minesweeper-style games, it seems that Mind Out was most definitely one of the first popularized versions of its time, being released in 1983 and based on Jerry McRatliff's logic rules for a game called Cube. Regardless of its origins and the far more popular and successful Minesweeper itself, Mind Out plays things a little differently. For one, there's a story. A story in a Minesweeper style game. Why? Because this is the Spectrum and everything has a story. Famous worm actor Bill the Worm is trapped on level 8. He was, according to the instructions, the star of such hits Worm Without a Cause, Worm Kong, The Worm of Dracula, The Worm with the Golden Gun, and Gardener's World. These are all important details that you need to know before playing. Anyway, Bill trapped in a minefield because apparently worms can set off mines, and he's just sat there waiting to be rescued. Then Bill the Worm's female fans go in to try and rescue him, and they get stuck in the minefield as well because everyone in this game is backwards. I'm giving you an abridged version here, but you really do need to go and read the story because it just goes to highlight how much cocaine was doing the rounds in the early 80s. Back to the game itself then, we have some big differences in comparison to Microsoft's ClickFest. You are a protagonist, not a mouse pointer, and as such you're exploring the minefield itself instead of trying to clear it randomly. You move up, down, left and right, and that's it. When you're stood next to a mine, it's either above, below, or to the side of you, it'll tell you the number of mines you're next to. There's no way to flag a square like in Microsoft's baby game for stupid baby children. Mind Out is for real men who think on their feet and bollocks. The controls are cursor-based, and I was trying to play it with the keyboard for ages, but it's been a while since my brain has had to get itself into cursor key mode, so I was just constantly smacking the wrong buttons. 5 is left, 6 is down, 7 is up, and 8 is right, and if you're a sensible person, you should use a cursor joystick to give you muscle memory arrest. Unless you've literally been playing the ZX Spectrum every day since the early 80s, in which case just carry on, you'll be fine. The bottom row and the top row of the minefield are always clear, which gives you some nice breathing room to find a pathway through the invisible danger maze. Level 1 is a good practice area. There's not too many mines, and there's plenty of time to wrap your head around the logic that you need to employ as things get trickier. From level 2 onwards, the game begins to introduce damsels. These are the daft women who went into the minefield to save a worm. You don't need to rescue them, and truth be told, it's their own damn fault, but if you do go out of your way, you get more points, and points are the point, so to speak, in Mind Out. You can try to just power ahead through the game, but real cool game-playing people do things the hard way. Never leave a woman behind. On level 3, the damsels are back, but you've also got to deal with this helpful fellow who'll drop off a load more mines for you to deal with. You can see them, at least, but man alive, it doesn't make anything any easier. On level 4, things continue to ramp up. Things continue to ramp up to Terminator 2 levels of terror. Not content with having you work things out nice and steadily at your own pace, Mindout decides to throw in a bloody robot. It enters your digging space after a set amount of time and begins to hunt you down randomly. At this point, screw being an Alpha Chad hunk Mindout player, sod the damsels, just get the hell out of there. Minesweeper may have led you into a false sense of security that you could just take your time, but no, shit's getting serious here.
All alone am I.
From this point onwards, things just keep getting harder, and it's great. The game has such a wonderful difficulty curve to it, one that ramps things up but never reaches levels of just impossible. I still haven't beaten it, but I absolutely love it. The understandable logic, the simple rules, the basic gameplay loop, the perfectly aimed difficulty curve, there's pretty much nothing bad I can say about the game. There's so many nice little touches. It's like in the way it provides you with these action replay sequences on death or success, and it reveals all the mines that show you just how close you were to murdering yourself. It's in the way it says, "You muffed it" when you die. It's in the way it tries to write a novel about rescuing a worm to explain why a set of crosshairs is digging a tunnel through a solid block of colour on the screen. It's a game that doesn't really age. Sure, it looks old. I doubt anyone would have looked at this back in 1983 and thought, crikey, that's a stunner. But look past that and the basic rule set. The feel of the game, the core concept, it still absolutely works. It wouldn't matter if the graphics were updated. It wouldn't matter if the game had music. It wouldn't matter if the batshit insane story was removed. The game lives by its rules and its core gameplay, and that hasn't aged a day.